A recent analysis in Dawn.com paints a picture of a world in serious flux, where the old rules of power are being totally rewritten. The piece is called With the Sleeves Rolled Up, and it argues that the world is, well, dividing. Let's break down exactly what it's saying.
The author, Naqvi, doesn't waste a single second. He kicks things off with this really powerful claim. Right away, this frames the entire analysis around one central idea, that a huge political shift inside the United States is what's really driving all this global instability.
So the analysis starts with what it calls the Rightward Slide. The core argument here is that this isn't just about one country's internal politics. Nope, it's a coordinated and kind of militaristic trend that's sweeping across both the US and Europe. And this isn't just a vague feeling. The author gets really specific. He says the US is lurching, right, while Europe is dropping its democratic pretense. He points to a top-down push for militarism in the UK, France, and Germany, and claims the entire EU is now targeting Russia, Palestine, and Iran. But here's the twist. The article argues this isn't just a top-down shift that everyone's accepting. It immediately pivots to a counter-narrative. While the powers that be move one way, a grassroots resistance is pushing back. So what does that retaliation actually look like? The source portrays this as a huge global pushback happening on multiple fronts. You see it in the Americas with massive rallies in Venezuela and Mexico. You see it over in Europe, where Jean-Luc Mélenchon's movement in France is framed as a direct challenge to the establishment. And even back in the US, the article said the left is putting up a promising fight for democracy. And really, this whole conflict is framed as a fundamental clash between the people and the people in power. A quote from Mélenchon cited in the piece just captures this perfectly. It pits the will of the people against the agendas of warmongering elites. Okay, so we've got this tension building between governments and their people. The analysis then zooms out to the next level. How are entire nations repositioning themselves on the world stage because of this new reality? And you can really see the split the article is talking about right here. On one side, you've got the EU trying to keep the US happy, and India, which the author claims is looking for an anchor in the West. But on the other side, a counter-movement seems to be forming. You've got Canada fixing its relationship with China, Brazil and Colombia standing up for Venezuela, and popular protests in Pakistan and Bangladesh. And, this feeling isn't just coming from activists. The article highlights this quote from a pretty prominent UAE businessman, which suggests there's some deep unease in the Gulf region. The core feeling? That the old rules are out the window and raw power is the only thing that really matters anymore. This brings us to a really focused part of the analysis. The authors painted this big, broad picture of global realignment, but then zooms in hard on one country in particular. So where does a major power like India fit into all this, according to the source? The article holds up India as a crucial case study, and, well, it uses some very critical and vivid language to describe its current foreign policy. I mean, wow, you can't get much more direct than that. The author uses this incredibly powerful metaphor, a stag, just frozen in the headlights, to say that India's foreign policy is basically paralyzed, unable to react to this fast-changing world that's hurtling right towards it. The analysis then unpacks that metaphor with some specific criticisms. The author calls India's foreign policy a basket case that's just been left to hope and prayer because its leadership is more focused on domestic politics. And all of this, the article claims, is building up to a moment of truth, the so-called terror of the upcoming BRICS summit, where India might be forced to finally pick a side. So all these different threads, the rightward slide, the popular resistance, the shifting national loyalties, they all lead to the article's conclusion and to its title. The argument is that a real, tangible counter-alliance is now actually taking shape. The article's key piece of evidence for this new alliance is what it calls the BRICS Plus Operation. Now, this was a week of joint naval drills between China, Russia, and Iran, hosted by South Africa. The official goal was protecting trade routes, but the author argues the symbolic message was way, way bigger. And just look at the players involved here. You've got China, Russia, and Iran, with South Africa as the host. From the article's perspective, this isn't just some routine military exercise. It's a very clear, very public demonstration of cooperation between nations that are positioning themselves as a counterweight to Western influence. And that brings us to the final takeaway. For the author, this naval exercise is the ultimate proof. The time for just talking is over. The sleeves have been rolled up, a metaphor suggesting that the world's key players are getting ready for a real struggle. So the analysis leaves us right here. It lays out a world that's splitting into factions, where a challenge to the old order isn't just theoretical anymore, it's being actively demonstrated out on the high seas. And the final question it forces us to ask is, in this new era of confrontation, what happens next?